Tony D and Little Joan, and this is a screenwriter's rant on the studio TV series on Apple starring Bryan Cranston and Seth Rogan about a movie head, studio head, and Hollywood. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 16 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. There it is, the studio. Catherine O'Hara's in it. A lot of big celebrities are in this one because it's about Hollywood, and Hollywood loves to talk about itself. That is a one thing it loves to do. So yeah. And it is on Apple, and it's supposed to be a comedy. But the question is it funny? Well, there's some good signs. Joan, interrupting. Seth Rogen's frequent collaborator, Evan, is it Goldberg? Yeah. Evan Goldberg is involved. And he's very good. So this might be a return to the old Seth Rogen, and I'll tell you why. It's because this is probably closer to the truth of his life now. So yeah, follows a legacy Hollywood movie studio struggling to survive or striving to survive in a world where it's increasingly difficult for art and business to live together. Yeah. So on a lot of notes, I bet it's right on. But already from this trailer, I can see kind of what they're attacking. They're mostly attacking the internet. Sounds like to me. So Catherine O'Hara is an older woman. I don't know if she's related to Seth or maybe she's his mentor in the corporate world of the studio or something. But she talks about influencers and TikTok people with absolute disdain, and how they're a bunch of fetuses and they don't even go outside, they're not on the inside, kind of thing. And that's not completely untrue. A lot of influencers, I mean, they don't really know anything. And yeah, you can point to me and say I'm one of those people. You don't really know anything other than what you read and see. I got a little perspective on it, but sure. Nobody knows more than the people actually on the inside, and most of those people aren't talking because they're paid a ton of money, or they're desperate to get back into it so they can get paid a ton of money. But that all being said, will this be funny? I think there'll be some funny moments in this. I got to be honest, Bryan Cranston, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him to go back to comedy, I think. Not necessarily for his roles, although Walter White, kind of a serious, scary role, but kind of for his wackiness off screen. Same thing with Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen especially. I mean, the kind of people who would love this are people like me, movie heads. People who love the industry and the movies and want to see stuff about it. And, I used to think Seth Rogen was one of those guys, but after his Twitter antics, I'll say, I have to question that. Sounds kind of tone deaf. Sounds like a rich dude who's been out of the loop too long. There's a scene in this where somebody runs away with, looks like a roll of film or possibly the soundtrack for a film, and rolls it down the hill, and Seth is screaming, "No, no!" Some important film, I guess. A lot of things are digital now, so that was sort of felt like a throwback to an earlier time. Pretty much everything's digital now, is my understanding, but I guess some of it's still on tape or film or whatever that was in the roll. Um, so I don't know. A lot of times what happens is guys coming up, they really want to do all these projects, right? And I can totally relate to that. But for a lot of years, they have to pay their dues and they have to do all the projects the studio wanted them to do. And they're all stuff that the previous old young guys who became old and run the studio wanted to do. But now it's too late for that to be relevant. But they're too old to be in it anymore. So they hire a bunch of young guys to do it. And then the young guys put their own spin on it. And a lot of times it doesn't quite work because it's like a middle-aged guy trying to do a movie for kids, which happens a lot, say, in the comic book industry, or used to. You have all these middle-aged guys trying to write to the kids, but they're really writing kid stuff that they liked when they were a kid, and now kids like something different. So you get this weird disconnect from the creator and the audience. This kind of feels that way because I don't know if Seth really has the guts to turn that satirical lens on himself. And a lot of what's wrong in Hollywood, I'm not really seeing it here, but it's only a trailer, so maybe there's more to it. You know, it's going to be a bunch of celebrities having meltdowns, and Seth Rogan has to pick up the pieces, but he's the studio head, so it's kind of hard to feel like to root for this guy. And it's kind of hard to root for Seth Rogan now after his online antics. You know, he kind of got into that camp of yelling at fans online. And that's always a bad idea. Yeah, maybe it's a couple of trolls. Okay, ignore them. You're worth millions of dollars. Who cares what two randos on the internet think? I don't. Guy blasted me the other day in my comments. I just banned him from the channel. Bloop, he's gone. No harm, no foul. I'll never see him again. If he wants to make another account and continue to harass me, I guess he could appear again, and then I'll just delete him again. And you might say, well, that seems to be a easy solution. Yeah, it is. Ignore them. I mean, that is something you do when you're on the way up. You ignore criticism to a somewhat. I mean, you can't ignore all criticism, but you should ignore kind of most of it, because you can get bogged down in all the criticism and then you'll never be motivated to do any films or screenplays or whatever. Seth Rogan, I mean, this feels like it's a little late. I mean, movie studios, are they even that relevant anymore? What I want to see is a show about the new. What's the new, you know? Is it an entertainment company? Is it a bunch of guys in Skokie, Illinois putting together something using a combination of AI, special effects, and computer wizardry? I want to see what the new thing is. I want to see, you know, someone take a real chance and write something very speculative about media. I don't want to see another friggin', oh, Hollywood's decadent. Yep, heard that one before. Oh, someone's blowing their top and having a meltdown on set. Oh, yep, seen that too. Oh, here's the celebrities taking too many drugs. Now you have to run them to the hospital. I mean, we've seen all this stuff before. You know, Babylon, that movie that Margot Robbie did, and Brad Pitt, it bombed. And that was about Hollywood when Hollywood was cool. I think a lot of the problem stems from the fact that Seth Rogan is the main guy, and Seth Rogan, specifically, in my opinion, has burned the good credibility with fans because of his behavior. Even people who still kind of like Seth, you know, it's not a good look to get into an argument on the internet. You know, if you're going to be the main guy in something, we need to root for you. And if you're an a-hole, if you act like an a-hole in public and you get caught, it genuinely in my opinion, hurts your image. So it's going to hurt because mentally you have to do some gymnastics, right? When you're watching a TV show or a movie or whatever, you have to suspend disbelief. You have to believe Seth Rogan is a studio head. You have to get in the mind that that's his character. He's not Seth Rogan. He's a studio head. And there was already a hurdle to jump because Seth Rogen's pretty damn famous. And famous for comedy. Same thing with Bryan Cranston. Not sure why they cast him. Same thing with Catherine O'Hara. There's not too many bankable stars in Hollywood left. These are 3 of them. And they're in a movie about Hollywood. Okay. But they are part of Hollywood. They're famous for doing certain things outside, off camera. He's talking about the Golden Globes in this trailer. I remember when the Golden Globes meant something. No, Seth. The Golden Globes have never meant anything. In my opinion. I mean, the Simpsons did it right back in the day when they were still funny. They were talking about the Grammys. And they would make fun of the Grammys. The Grammys aren't a real award. Homer throws a Grammy off a balcony. Somebody finds it and goes, oh, a major award. Oh, it's a Grammy, and throws it back and hits him in the head. Like, that's how you treat the awards in Hollywood. If you're doing a satire about Hollywood, you should have absolute contempt for them. What are you, defending the Golden Globes? You should have Ricky Gervais on the show if you're doing a Golden Globes thing. You can't do comedy and satire unless you go for the jugular. And when you're talking about doing something for Hollywood, holy crap, man, you really got to go for it. Can you really go for it when you have such big stars in this? They all have friends. They all know people. I remember going out to LA, and a friend of mine who was in the biz, movie exec, and another friend of his, another movie exec, we went to see this movie. It was 10,000 BC. It was awful, and I was making fun of it, as I often do when I'm in a bad movie, and it's so GD awful, I can't stand it. And after the movie was over, my friend was like, oh man, you really should have toned it down in the movie theater. And I'm like, why? Hardly anybody was in a damn movie theater. He goes, yeah, but you never know when somebody in this town worked on that movie and they're sitting in the theater. That's the problem with putting such big names in a piece like this. Are they going to go for the jugular? I doubt it. Evan Goldberg might, because, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup, but he ain't going to make fun of his friend and business partner, Seth Rogan, is he? They going to make fun of Bryan Cranston? He's been in a bunch of stinkers. Catherine O'Hara used to do really good stuff back in the day on SCTV. I mean, maybe she might. I don't know how much comedy she's writing anymore, but... So, I don't know. I don't have Apple TV, although I got the hookup for it, but I never hooked it up. It doesn't excite me. It looks like Hollywood doing the same old Hollywood shtick. Oh, isn't Hollywood crazy and decadent, but somehow we make great movies. No, you don't. The one true line in this is he says, I'm beginning to feel that my job is to ruin movies. Now, if you go down that path, Seth, then you might have something here. Because that's sure what Hollywood feels like right now. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. This was by request, by the way. I'm doing the live stream in about 45 minutes. So tune in to the live stream, Hollywoke Hot Take Live at 7 p.m., where we talk about stuff like this. Hope to see you there. We'll see you in the next one.